So this is going to be a single pour mold. We're doing the walls and the floor at the same time. Now, I know what you're thinking.
Don't do that.
Welcome back to Think Build Test. Today we're going to be continuing on part 5, 6, part form boards for our concrete walls. Our garage service pit project. In this video I'm going to try and keep everything centric around the building of the concrete forms. As you can see here, talk about the lessons I've been learning and the thought process to be able to get this thing in the hole and have it be able to come apart once it's in the hole. As you can see here, we have our inner walls and we have our 1.1 inch thick plywood. I got a really great deal on this at a local store. You might want to go with 3/4 inch with more horizontal supports and maybe some more vertical support. Besides just having enough strength and planning that out, I knew my main problem was going to be building this like a jigsaw so that we would be able to take it apart after the concrete is done curing. That's where the big challenge came in, and a lot of thought process had to go into this, because we need walls to be able to fall in without hitting the other walls. Okay, so this is what I've come up with. I'm keeping my back wall and my front wall completely free of any screws and things. So this wall will be able to fall in, and then this wall will be able to fall in without hitting any obstructions here when I go to take this apart. So to be able to keep this all free, I have devised little stops here. So as the force presses in here, it'll catch this board and have stiffening strength. And on all my boards and all my runners, I just have a little block here because gravity is going to be able to hold these in place. So all that force and pressure coming in, we're going to have these things going all the way through, and I'm going to kind of place them in place as we fill up the concrete in the walls so that we can kind of move around, vibrate the walls, get this thing filling up, and then we'll begin at the bottom, putting these in one at a time till we get to the top. Now, the bottom is going to be the most pressure, so it's going to be where we're going to have the most supports, and most likely won't need but a few supports at the top. They said that concrete gains about 150 pounds per foot of height. So that pressure at the bottom is going to be really forcing it in. For this back wall to just kind of hold it in place while we're working with it so it doesn't flop around, I have a double inside joint where it will only be screwed in from the inside. That way we'll be able to free this back wall up and the side walls and let them come in. I've added some boards in the middle just to help keep that seam together. This is self-locking flooring, so there is a groove. We want to be able to capture all that pressure at the seams so that they don't give in and create a split. Let's take a look at the outside and see what we've done there. Okay, so you can see these big beefy pockets. This is going to be the place where we can store our tools at. So obviously an external mold, and I made these at an angle so it'd be harder for air pockets to be able to develop from the concrete from having a sharp tight nook. So I'm really hoping the concrete will want to flow down here and flow in here a lot better as we vibrate the concrete, that it will be able to fill all those nooks the best that it can. You can see that we have plumbing already ready. So I've ran a power outlet side for tools and a light switch cord in each conduit. So it's going to come in here and then go back out, so they'll be tied together. I just have my two ends in each of these pockets, and then after this is all together, these boxes will probably be sacrificial. We'll pop them out. These are screwed in from the inside so that if I need to be able to deconstruct this one at a time, I can take the wall off first and then work on getting this unstuck from the concrete second. Everything on the sides is symmetrical on both sides. I put just on one back end an extra little storage bay. This will be towards the front of the garage. Now that end is going to be longer than my floor lift, and it's going to be where I have all my utilities for my hydraulic pump and my plumbing for my electrical, for the sump pump. And another thing that was brought up recently that we hadn't yet thought about was for heavy gases, we're going to put a bilge pump at the bottom of this. So anytime the lights are turned on, for us to be able to go down into this pit, a bilge pump is going to be turned on, and that'll suck all of the heavy airs out of the bottom of this so that we don't get fumigated by carbon monoxide or some other heavy nitrogen content. We don't want to get suffocated down in the hole, so we'll make sure that that bilge pump is on. I have a light switch with a little red light on it that I'm going to put on the wall, because when the floor's up, you won't be able to tell if the lights are on, and then that little red light will kind of indicate that we're all good to go with our bilge pump running and our lights going, and we'll know if we need to turn off the lights if we can't see them on, so we're not wasting electricity also. What I've been talking about is the ability to disassemble this is what's going to be the most crucial. So I tried to make the layer that was going to be stacked on another layer stick out just a little bit wider than what it's covering up, so that when this pulls out, there won't be a concrete layer on top of the bottom piece that prevents us from pulling it up. And I did that the same way for this piece that needs to come out that way. I have this sticking out just a little bit to give us as much advantage as we can to not have concrete pouring out in the way in that wall, so we can't push it back. I don't know if the plan's going to work. I may be cutting this all out with a skill saw and a sawzall and pry bars, and that's what I don't want to do, but we're trying to plan the best we can to get this to all come apart, because typically a molded wall, all the forms will be on the outside, so it's easy to just peel them out. All of mine are going to be on the inside. So this is going to be a single pour mold. We're doing the walls and the floor at the same time. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that's maybe not a good idea, but in my mind, if the floor ends up having some pockets, I think that I'm going to be okay with that because I can come and build up some bags afterwards. Then at that time, I'll be able to set my runners level for my X-frame as it lifts so that it will be smooth. But we're going to try and vibrate this concrete as much as we can, spend some time on the bottom of it before we start filling up the walls, vibrating the walls, and hopefully our concrete truck driver will be patient with us. I definitely don't want to be rushed on this thing. But each time the truck comes out, they charge a minimum of a 4-yard load, and we're going to be somewhere around 5 yards total. So that's the difference between a $700 bill or a $1,300 bill for concrete. I'm going to take some wooden spacers in the bottom of the pit in the dirt, and I'm going to set about 6 of those to hold the floor at our height, 4 to 5 inches for the floor. So then I'll route out those wooden spacers when we're done and pour fresh concrete in those holes to complete the flooring. I've just been thinking of all the different things that we need to do to make this super smooth so that we're not fighting and balancing things. I want all this stuff to just hold itself in place while we're pouring the concrete. We don't want a bunch of scooting and bumping and having the rebar sticking out of the edge. Definitely a lot of planning for this. So right here, you can see the lip. When I put this final wall up here, it'll go right in this place, and I'll use these blocks to screw it in and align it up, and then it will be there permanently. And I can screw down to the bottom to secure this wall and screw in place here for the outside wall. These will be here. The outside wall will push here, and there won't be any obstructions to help keep this wall from being able to just cave in and fall like this. As I mentioned a moment ago, this end is going to be hollow with no floor that goes up and down. So I'll have like my hydraulic pump here. I'll have ducting coming up here and conduiting, and this will be the back wall, so I'll be able to have my electrical come together and run up and out of. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. This one was about the concrete forms. So stay tuned for the next video. We're going to be bending rebar, where I've created a custom rebar bender, and we'll have that video out shortly. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and we'll be on this journey together.
Today is the day I'm making a change, building things today.